Hi students, in this video we are going to see about the three important topics in Model 5. Those are operand forwarding, reorder buffer, register renaming. Let us go to the topic. Operand forwarding. So operand forwarding is one of the technique to improve and achieve the instruction level parallelism, right? As I have already explained in the previous videos itself, operand forwarding is one of the technique to achieve the instruction level parallelism, right? So, in a superscalar processor, if you take one superscalar processor, it offers the opportunity of detecting and exploiting the instruction level parallelism. That we have already studied, right? Superscalar processor offers this feature. So, this kind of parallelism is otherwise known as potential parallelism. Okay, so the potential parallelism is another name of instruction level parallelism achieved in superscalar processor, right? How this operand forwarding is helping to reduce the impact of true dependence means we'll see with one example. There are two example instructions are given. First one is addition instruction, second one is shift R instruction. Let us see the instruction. The first instruction is R1, R2, R3 of addition. So what happens in the instruction means the value of R1 and R2 is added and the result is going to be stored in R3, right? So after this instruction shift right. So the value of R3 is shifted right by 4 bits and the shifted value is going to be saved in the R4. Okay, so this is the nature of this instruction. What happens here? What is the dependence occurred between these two instructions means raw dependence. That means read after write. So why it is occurring? Can you tell that? Because the first instruction, the value of added value, that value of result is stored. So according to the R3, it is read. Then the value from the R3 is going to be fetched. So that's what R3 is having read after write. Okay, so read after write dependence is existing on the R3 of these two instructions. So that's what the arrowed diagram is also shown here, right? Fine. So how it can be done? It can be done in either of two cases. It can be done in sequential way or it can be done in parallel way. So what happens in sequential way means, sequentially means it should be done in a one clock cycle. The first operation should be done in a first clock cycle of Tk. So in clock cycle T1, ALU output is transferred to R3. So in the ALU output is transferred to R3. In the second clock cycle, that means Tk plus 1, the value from R3 is moved to ALU input. Okay, so this is what happening in sequential way of data transfer. What happens in parallel way means both in the transferring of value from R3 to ALU input is done parallelly in a single clock cycle. So in the first clock cycle itself, the value from ALU output is transferred to both R3 and ALU input. So this is what happening in parallel, right? Then move on to the next concept, reorder buffer. So reorder buffer is one of the major primary processor element. So what is the purpose of reorder buffer means it serves as the function of bringing the completed instructions back to in order which is consistent with the program order. So if the program order is very correct and it is consistent means the reorder buffer brings the completed instructions to its closer way. So what happens and what is the values of states here means the programs at program state and processor state should be consistent and it should be clear. It should be correct. So that's what the program state and processor state are identified in terms of instruction which have been committed. Okay, so this diagram shows the structure of one reorder buffer. It has four fields. It has four fields. First one is instruction type, second one is the value, specified value, and third one is the destination, and fourth one is the flag value indicating whether the instruction is ready or not. Okay, so what are the four fields specified in each entry of reorder buffer means first one is instruction identifier, value computed, and program specified destination of the value computed, and flag indicating whether the instruction has completed or not. Okay, so for in this example there are 8 instructions are in this reorder buffer, so that's what it is in the size of 8. So starting from instruction I to I plus 7 is the exact entries in reorder buffer. So what next topic is, what is the use of reorder buffer in identifying the dependencies in program? Okay, we know the meaning of dependencies. There are some dependencies are defined. So what are the dependents? Are common dependents means data dependence, control dependence, and resource dependence. Those three are the famous dependents arised in the one program, right? Program and also instruction execution. So fine, coming to the first dependence, data dependence, it is called as raw dependence. So what is the use of this reorder buffer and operand forwarding means? So this, first of all, we must know what is mean by raw dependence, what happens in the raw dependence. Say for example, if the value input operand is not available, what we have to do, we have to hold up the execution of the dependent instruction. So that time that dependent, what is the dependencies are existing between the instruction means raw dependence. So at that time we need to do means operand, with the help of operand forwarding technique, we need to supply the needed input operand as soon as the value has been computed, right? So this is the first important role of this operand forwarding. How this operand forwarding will be happen means with the help of reorder buffers, right? Then control dependence. Control dependence always will happen when the branching instructions are happening. So when the mispredicted branches happen, at that time the reorder buffer should be flushed. It should be flushed along with the other elements in the pipeline. Okay, so this is what happening in control dependence. What happens in resource dependence means it is a fat case. So if the needed functional unit is not available at that time means we must wait for the unit to become free, wait for the unit to become available. So this technique in the world cannot be interchanged. So that is called as resource dependence, right? Then the third topic is register renaming. So what is the concept behind this register renaming means? We'll see with one example. Here fadd and fsub are the two floating point of instructions are given here. Both are having output dependence here because both are accessing the output variable as R5. So what happens here means here right after dependencies are occurring on R5 register. So what we have to do means instead of accessing the R5 on all time, we can rename that register as some of the temporary registers like register X or register Y. So then we can do this one, right? So this is called as register renaming concepts, right? I hope you understand this logic. I'll catch you in the next video about next topic. Thank you.